I'm just going to show you one little quick move that helps to release some tightness that you might find you've got in your spine. Okay, so this is assuming that you haven't got any serious disc issues going on in your spine. To get checked out first before you go crazy with this. That's me saying I'm not responsible for your back if this doesn't work, because I haven't tested you, I haven't seen you. This is just a video. Okay, so take care. So bend your knees and notice your spine as you rest on the floor. Where does it feel heavy? Okay, so do you notice your shoulder blades? Do you notice the mid-back? Do you notice the back of your pelvis? So where are your gaps? Do you find you've got a gap here under the neck? See my fingers wiggling? And you've got a gap here underneath your lower back. Now if you can get both hands straight through like that, it's too much of a gap because you'll find that your ribs are going to be flaring and lifting as well. So if you let your ribs drop down, you'll be squashing your hands. So bring your hand away and you should just be able to let your fingertips meet. They might just meet. If it's totally flat and you can't get your hands down, you can't get your hands through at all, your back's too flat and you'll be tightening up here in your hips and the pubic bone going towards your ribs. You'll be tightening up here in your gut and your abdominals. You might find your toes are tight and you might find your chin lifts. So can you give yourself a little bit of a space so your fingertips will just be touching? So you're in a neutral spine, neutral pelvis, not neutral spine, neutral pelvis. And your belly button, if it had water in it, would be level. If you find if you flatten your back, that water would go towards you. And if you find if you arch your back, like too much space, that water will go that way. Tightening up. So find that midpoint halfway. And it's always somewhere where you think, oh, that doesn't feel quite right. Because if you're too used to being here or too used to being there, you'll find it's quite tricky to maintain a neutral position with your pelvis, which is why you don't want to go too crazy trying to find it. So gentle arching and gentle flattening. So you're just working through that movement. It's so simple. It's a really simple movement, but there's a lot going on here. So if you feel like, I must arch, I must try and get into these two positions, where can you use in the body less effort to move? Can you make it a really small movement? So if you put your fingers on your belly button and work with this little movement, arching and flattening the lower back so it drops to the floor, so it squash your hand. It comes off the floor so you can get your hand through. Can you notice what's happening with your navel, with your belly button as you do that? If you have water in it, where will the water travel to? Allow your head to move if it wants to. It will find that it's not just in your lower back, there will be corresponding stuff going on in your tailbone, in your ribs, in your neck. Don't hold on with your jaw, let yourself breathe freely. Just notice the navel going forwards and backwards, up and down. Not up and down, but that way and that way. Yeah, shut up, Melanie. So just notice that. A little bit of tilting, moving, noticing. Nice, simple movement. And you don't have to be lying down. If you can't get down to the floor, you can do this sitting on a chair, on your sit bones, little bony bits at the bottom of your pelvis. And you can do a little forward roll on your sit bones. So you feel that you're rolling forwards on your sit bones, you're rolling back on your sit bones. And you can notice how that changes what your navel is up to. It faces your ribs when you flatten the back, and it faces down towards the pubic bone when you arch the back. If you're in a seated position, play with that feeling or that image in your head. So imagine it's a light and you want the beam to go straight towards the ceiling. You don't want it to shine up into your ribs and you don't want it to shine down towards your knees. So can you do that movement without creating tightness, tension anywhere else in the body? And if there is tightness and tension elsewhere in the body, you might find that that's an area you need to be aware of and you need to notice and observe, because that could be an area that could be overworking for your back. or your front. If you've got tightness in the lower back, you might find that the lower back muscles are inhibited. It'll be weaker. For what's happening at the front here, you might find that you need to learn or retrain your brain how to let go of clenching and tightening here, tightening up the gut, tightening up around the liver, tightening up around all your organs here, tightening up in the hips. Can you let go of your hips? So your tailbone feels heavy, sinks down, and you can have space here. Well, not too much space, you want a little bit. So imagine that they are bridges. You've got a little bridge here and you've got a bridge here. So the water goes underneath the bridge, but only just. It trickles underneath. Yeah. And the land between the bridges, the bridges to rest on here, the sacrum, the back of the pelvis, and here the ribs, and also the back of the head. Shoulder blades. So you've got the land, and the bridge, and the bridge. There you go, nice, very simple, easy, so simple that it can be so overlooked because you think, oh, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. So I keep it really simple, so small and subtle. So you notice, because there's a lot of noise going on around the world. Social media, I know it's ironic, I'm posting this on social media. There's a lot of noise in here that creates in here, and everything gets tight, and you start to be a little bit more aware of the noise and less aware of what is actually tightening up and what is working for something else in the body. So take it slowly and smoothly and subtly, and be more curious, like Alice in Wonderland. Be curious, get curiouser and curiouser about your body. Be very curious about what is going on within your muscles, your fascia, your bones, your discs, your breathing, your jaw, your eyes. Fascinating. Happy practicing.